January 15, 1947, 10 o'clock a.m. A housewife walks by a meadow in Los Angeles when the mutilated body of a woman was found. She was terrified. She quickly covered her daughter's eyes with her hand and immediately called the local police. It was a terrible scene to watch. According to reports at the time, the victim was brutally beaten and abused. Eventually the body was dismembered into two large pieces. Cut it off at the navel. Placed the upper and lower halves separately, about 50 centimeters apart. There wasn't a trace of blood at the crime scene. Because his body was cleaned. It's completely drained of blood. It's even scarier. Most of the victim's organs were extracted. The chest was also severely damaged. And multiple cigarette burns. Broken fingers and several nails ripped out. The thing that stood out was his mouth. Everything from the corners of the mouth to the earlobes was cut. Put on a clown costume. There was also severe rot inside the mouth. Forensics also found excrement in the victim's stomach. Rough estimate. He was used by the killer. Tortured by inhuman methods for at least 36 hours. Because the victim was fond of wearing black clothes. And embellish your hair with power. Hence the name of the case. Normal mention of Black Power case. I had to mention the CCO Hotel. And because of this case, that made the CCO Hotel infamous. But in fact, this has nothing to do with the CCO Hotel. Only because our victim once lived in CCO. It's just a hotel. The CCO Hotel said he was shot lying down. The victim, Elizabeth Anshot, was an actress. But his verbal journey was not a success. He prowls the streets of Hollywood. Eager to be discovered by talent scouts. But overambitious, vain and lazy. This has kept him below the poverty level for a long time. At one point, I couldn't even afford $1 a day's rent. On January 8, 1947, Short decided to go to Chicago. He said he wanted to try his hand at becoming a fashion model. And there was no sign of it. When he was found again, had turned into a cold corpse. Elizabethan. Short was a man desperate for fame. Loved the attention. It's a pity that he is unknown. Even his funeral. Only 6 relatives came to visit him. It's ironic that his death caused such a stir. Because of a unique and tragic way to die. The Black Power flower set a record. After the murder, more than 500 people have confessed to being the killers. Among them was a man named Tom. At least 4 times. These people are here to make trouble. Because it was so sensational. They all want to make it bigger. This greatly hindered the progress of the police investigation. Especially when there's no physical evidence. It took the LAPD 3 years. Hundreds of people connected to Short. But the results are still disappointing. Here's what we know about the killer so far. The wounds on the victims are all very neatly distributed. So the killer must have used a sharp knife. They also have sufficient medical knowledge. The killer is most likely a doctor. And secondly, this man is extremely perverted and dangerous. On Short's body, we didn't find any prints or anything useful. That means our killer is also thoughtful and highly intelligent. There is no doubt. Someone no cop wants to face. And how horrible this man really is. Put it this way. He then challenged the police 3 times. Knowingly disclosing information about yourself. And the case is still unsolved. It was supposed to be one of the top 10 unsolved cases in the world. But in 2013 an unretired detective in Los Angeles suddenly claims to know who the killer is. His name is Steve Hodler. Spent half his life studying the Black Flower case. Eventually he found that all the clues pointed to the killer. None other than his long-dead father, famous surgeon George Hodler. Because he found a picture of his father with Short. Apparently the 2 men had a history. George Hodale is not an ordinary man. He's very smart and charming. And real life is very indecent. As early as 15 years old, George just got good grades. Got admitted to California with a super IQ. But he was fired just a year later. Supposedly because of him and his dean. An illicit relationship took place. But by virtue of their own ingenuity, he soon became a surgeon. One of the best in America. Rich, powerful and very promiscuous. A lot of parties in Los Angeles. Shot's been there too. And George has a lot of girlfriends. There are several that indicate a propensity for violence. Beat yourself up a lot. If it's him, that would be a perfect fit for our killer. In fact, the police suspected him even earlier. But when we were investigating him, someone covered for him to shield him from questioning. And then he was like a rabbit. Fled to the Philippines. And he didn't come back until he died. So now Steve gets I couldn't sue my own father if I wanted to. That's conjecture on the evidence we have. Can't be directly used as evidence of involvement. But now, everyone involved in the Black Power case is dead. There's no way to find out if you wanted to. That's why Black is so powerful. Seems destined to be a mystery. The one that will never be undone.